So, a few nights ago, I was trying to use my 14 Pro, and it was giving me issues. So, I said that I'm done with this phone, and I switched to the much older iPhone 11 Pro Max. And so far, it's a lot slower, but I haven't regretted it yet. iPhones are supposed to have yearly upgrades, but there's a lot of things that the iPhone 11 does better than the 14. I've mentioned this a lot, but the camera's focus distance is a lot better on the iPhone 11 than on the 14. It's not just iOS 16 at this point, it's also the hardware, because there's got to be something going wrong with the 14 Pro when everything that the 14 Pro does wrong, I've never had an issue with on the 11 Pro Max. And I'm not the kind of person to downgrade because I don't like to downgrade phones. But when the iPhone 14 Pro, which is the flagship 2022 iPhone, just has constant problems and will not work correctly, there becomes a point where I'm going to get tired of the phone and I'm just going to end up switching to a different phone. Since I didn't want to switch to Android, I just decided that it was probably a good idea to go to an older iPhone. I wanted a 13 Pro because that was the last good iPhone that Apple made in my opinion. But seeing as there's no iPhone 13 Pros that are being sold brand new, and I don't like used phones, that really doesn't seem to be an issue. The next thing that I would consider doing is trading in one of these phones to get an iPhone 13 or regular 14, because hopefully those will be better than the 14 Pro. And while the build quality technically is worse and the design is a bit different, I think the A15 processor is a lot faster than the A13. There's a lot of reasons that people can say that the 11 Pro Max is better, but truthfully for me, it's nothing about the design, it's just about how reliable it is, because this phone right here, software-wise, has so many issues. On this, I ran into probably 4 software issues in one day, on average, and on this phone, I've been using it for 2 days and I've yet to run into any software issues. So it's something about the 14 Pro that just has so many software issues that it's insane, and it's really annoying for me to use this because I have so many software issues that it is useless for me to use this phone. And when iPhones are supposed to be so reliable and they're supposed to get so much software support, it makes no sense why this thing right here just has so many stupid problems. And part of the reason that I think this has so many problems is because Apple has to design iOS 16 to run on phones from the iPhone 8 to the 14 Pro. And that's annoying because now I'm pretty much being limited to software features that a phone from 2017 has to support. And obviously, phones have come a very long way since 2017. And that is probably why the 14 Pro is so bad. The 11 Pro Max just has way more reliability and stability. And I think that if an iPhone 11 from 2019 can do better than an iPhone 14 from 2022, it's not worth it to buy the 14. Now, with that said, I will be getting the 15 Pro the day it comes out because I do not want to use this a day longer than I have to. I feel like this is probably necessary because I'm not dealing with these software issues anymore, and truthfully, the 15 Pro better be good. Hopefully it is. With all that said, I will go over my thoughts on this device so far. First, this is an 11 Pro Max, not an 11 Pro. If I had a working 11 Pro, I would use that, but my only 11 Pro is blacklisted and T-Mobile refuses to do anything about it, even though it was falsely blacklisted. This phone has been alright. I don't really like big phones, but I think that the thinness and the curved edges make it a bit easier to use than like the 13 Pro Max and those, because I hated using the 13 Pro Max. The cameras are okay, they do the job, but I do miss the 14 Pro's cameras. And I feel like now that I'm using this, every photo that I'm going to take for however long I have this is going to look way worse in the end, because in 5 years, all the photos from this are going to look like 7 years old compared to this, which in 5 years, the photos are going to look 5 years old, if that makes sense. The battery life on this has been just fine, no issues there. Of course, this is replaced actually, and it's got 92% battery health, but it doesn't read the battery health accurately because iOS. But I might get this replaced by Apple, but that is another $100 I'm going to put into an already going on 4-year-old phone. And in general, this phone has held up okay. I haven't had any software issues. 64 gigabytes is really lacking, to be honest, but it's whatever. 512 gigabytes on this phone was a lot better. I also do like the color of this phone a lot more, even though that is one of the most minor things about the phone. It's just a darker shade of gold that I end up liking more than the lighter shade of gold on the 14 Pro. Same with the 11 Pro. I really liked this phone when I used it back in 2020. Not that exact one, but still. So with that said, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Goodbye.